Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League, the place to come to get your rational takes from rational people. My name is Emmett. I'm here with my co-host, Brendyn.
Yo, what's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you all are watching this. What's up?
If you have kids, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yes.
From the show. Yeah. Anyway, Sorry, wasted 30 seconds of your time here. We are on week 21 now, I believe. So, again, if you guys aren't familiar with us, we are two former college athletes. We now do a podcast because obviously the football thing did not work out.
Rip through our careers.
Rip through our careers into my knee. Anyway, so you guys can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. Come leave comments. Come talk to us. We love engaging with you guys. You always seem to be fantastic. But let's hop right into this B. Let's start off with our news of the week, starting obviously with the most recent thing, Thursday Night Football. The Detroit Lions took on the Green Bay Packers. Lions fans travel well, which was kind of surprising to see. I don't know if that's a new thing. I don't know if it's always happened and they've just never addressed it until now. But the Lions did end up taking the win in that one, 34-20. David Montgomery was the lead rusher for the Lions. He had 32 carries for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love went 23 of 36 with 246 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. I know a lot of people were frustrated with Jahmyr Gibbs not getting as much carry, but it's kind of hard to give him so much run when you got David Montgomery playing the way he is. I don't know, B. What do you think about that? What was your take from this game?
Dude, I knew the Lions were going to win, but they looked good, really good. I thought it was going to be a closer game. I think the spread was 1.5, 2.5, something like that before kickoff. So I was like, okay, it's going to be one of those, hard-fought games going to last in a couple minutes of that game. The game was almost over about halftime. And credit to the Packers for kind of getting things going in the second half and getting things somewhat close. But about Gibbs though, it seemed kind of obvious what the Lions wanted to do. They wanted to pound the rock in between the tackles. Gibbs is not the back for that. Put David back there, give him the ball. Dude's like a tank. I think his nickname is Pitbull or something like that because he's just one of those stout dudes. It's fucking this powerful. The defense looks solid too. The Lions, the front four look solid. I was watching the QB school breakdown of Jordan Love's performance, and he was turning down throws a little bit and just taking sacks. So that's a piece of it. It wasn't just the Lions D-line just overly just dominating that game, it seemed like it, but he also was turning down throws a little bit. Also, the fans got mad. That wasn't very Lambeau-like, Packer fan like. I think they were booing in the second quarter or something like that, or was it the first? I don't remember.
I think it was the second.
Was it the second? I knew it was kind of early on. I've never seen that before. So it wasn't really like them. But my biggest just takeaway from that game is the Lions are for real. We knew they were going to win the North before the season, but they look good. Could maybe make a playoff run good. So it's only week 3, week 4.
Yeah,
so it's still a whole lot of ball game left, but I'm super excited for that Lions team.
And I agree. And my favorite quote from the game, from a sports analysis person, I don't remember who it was that made the quote after the game, but it was that they saw a whole lot of Jordan Love shirts at the game and not a whole lot of Jordan Love jerseys. So maybe Packers fans are not as sold on Jordan Love as everyone else kind of thought they might be at this point. But yeah, kind of a terrible game. Not terrible. Kind of a little bit of an ugly game for Jordan Love. We'll see. He's still got a lot of season to bounce back, make it look good. But yeah, I think that was a really good statement game for the Detroit Lions. Moving on, we do got a lot of news pieces to cover here. DeMar Hamlin will be active for the first time this week for the Buffalo Bills since he suffered his cardiac arrest last year. So great feel-good redemption story for him. It would be great to have him back on the field. I know he's technically their backup safety. He was healthy and active for the first 2 weeks. I don't know if that was just to give him a little more time or they just didn't need him, but it will be the first time he is active on a game day since that moment. next kind of big thing here, the NFL is reinstating Lions wide receiver Jamison Williams and Titans O-lineman Nicholas Petit-Frere. It's a French name, so I'm probably butchering that. Effective Monday due to the gambling policy changes. So for those that don't know, the NFLPA and the NFL renegotiated the gambling policy to change the levels of punishment based on what the action is. So that's why they were able to be released from their suspensions.
Which is smart. I like that move.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for them. So pretty much the new rules are it'll be an indefinite suspension with a minimum of 1 or 2 years if a player bets on a contest that involves his team. If there's any actual attempt to fix a game, that player will be permanently banned from the NFL for life. Also, any inside information or tipping that goes on with will elicit an indefinite suspension as well with a minimum of 1 year. As well, the third party or proxy betting site will also receive a punishment as well. So the most significant area that I think a lot of people are kind of interested in is it does reduce the penalties for betting on other sports while in the workplace. So if you're on the Lions and you're sitting in your locker and you go, oh, crap, the WNBA is playing tonight. I want to take the New York Liberty because I think they're going to make a run this year or they're going to make the run in the playoffs. So you bet on that game. Before, it was a 6-game suspension, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what they got, yeah.
Yeah, so that's now been changed to it'll be a 2-game suspension without pay for the first time. It'll be a 6-game ban without pay for the second time, and then a suspension without pay for at least 1 year for a third violation. So that's the biggest difference. So it's no longer just immediate 6 games. It's going to be a 2-game for first-time offenders. Yeah, then 6, then a year. But
I think that's like fair. Give them strikes. Chances instead of the 6-game, just slap, boom. So
I think people's biggest critique or criticism of that would be is why does it matter if they're betting on a different sport? I guess it kind of all technically calls into question some of the integrity of the game, but as we've already discussed in a previous video and a couple other times, if you're that concerned about the betting calling into question the integrity of the game, why even make a partnership? Why even allow the betting in the first place? But we've already discussed that at length in a couple other videos, so we'll just keep it to that right now, okay?
Can I make a quick comment too?
Absolutely.
About the Lions. I mean, we were talking about how they look good. Now they get one of their better receivers back, like a true deep threat, a guy who ran like a 4.3 in JMO. I mean, I just want to make that the quick comment. I mean, like the football impact of getting him 2 weeks sooner is also awesome.
I do want to add a little bit of an asterisk to that. I know he had some drop issues. I believe it was in the preseason of last year, so people already weren't super high on him. So I wouldn't rush to the waiver wire on fantasy and pick him up. But it could potentially help stretch that offense a little better because I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a big stretch the field kind of guy.
Yeah, right now they have what's his name? Is it
Josh Reynolds?
Or
Yeah, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, he's number 8, right? I can't remember all these names. Yeah. That's who they have right now is like the quote unquote deep threat.
Yeah. And obviously Jamison Williams and obviously Jamison Williams, one of the fastest dudes in the league. So he could help. He just needs to work on his concentration, making the catches. So that could also help out the Lions offense. Out of the news, Rams have signed their tight end Tyler Higbee to a 2-year contract extension worth $27 million that will run him through the 2025 season. Decent signing. He's a decent tight end. I wouldn't say he's a top 5, top 10 kind of a guy, but he's been solid for them. More of a receiving guy versus a blocking guy.
Which is good. I mean, how old is he actually?
Good question.
That's what I was wondering too. He's been in the NFL for quite a bit now, right?
Feels like it. I know he's been on the Rams for a while.
He's good though. I mean, I think he's one of their like captains too. So he must be a good like locker room presence guy and there for 2 more years. He is 30 years old, so Brendyn took 32. It's probably one of his last contracts unless they sign him again. A 1 year, 2 year deal. But I think it's a good deal.
I know he's kind of whenever the 49ers play, like he's always like a main concern for me. Like he definitely, helps the offense pick up decent chunks here and there, especially when the receiving game isn't going too well. But I think it's a decent signing for them. So, the news, that just got an update this morning. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Chandler Jones, who has not been with the team all season, was arrested on 2 counts of violation of domestic violence protection order. And actually, this morning he was released by the Las Vegas Raiders, so he is no longer employed with them. Just an overall very sad story to see. Clearly, he's suffering from a serious mental health illness crisis.
Very sad.
And I would recommend he gets serious medical help as soon as he can. But there is a real chance this may be the last time we've ever seen or will ever see Chandler Jones in a NFL facility. Because usually these stories don't play out well with the guy reviving his career in a great fashion. But who knows? Maybe some team takes a chance on him.
Yeah, especially when it's like public. And again, I mean, you just have to just put good vibes, thoughts, prayers out there, whatever you guys are like into. In this, like, just hope that he kind of get this is life back on the right track. Regardless of this football, but just life in general. Yeah, man. No, it's a very sad story.
Yeah, and the life thing definitely should come. Life should definitely come first. I mean, football needs to be a back burner for him, and he does. And the tough part about it is Robert Griffin III tried reaching out, at least on Twitter, about, hey, like, obviously our brother here is hurting. He obviously needs help. He obviously, if you have his number, text him and let him be heard, because he needs to be heard right now. And Chandler Jones ended up like retweeting it, re-commenting, quoting, whatever you would call it nowadays. Pretty much just shitting on him, saying like, hey, dude, like, I'm in the NFL. You're in the commentator's booth. Stay in your lane. Don't mind me. Like, whatever. So that, to me, first of all, like, totally fucked up. Dude's trying to like go on and say, hey, like, this man needs help. Like, let's help and listen to him. And you just shit on him. But also kind of tells me that I don't even think he understands yet that there's a serious problem going on and where this path leads and what he needs. So until he realizes that he needs help, it's not going to get better. So it could be years before he finally gets the help that he needs. And at that point, what else could have gone wrong for him? How many times of in and out in jail or something like that could have gone wrong for him? So
yeah,
that's what I think is the saddest thing to me about it. A guy that's, from my I can't remember of any other incidences, but it's been pretty clean cut his entire career. Was a New England Patriot for a long time, then an Arizona Cardinal. I don't remember hearing any issues.
Yeah. He's definitely not in the right frame of mind. Definitely some like mental health stuff going on. So again, hopefully he can get some help. And I don't know, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, very unfortunate situation, like we kind of mentioned. But moving on, the New York Jets have signed Trevor Siemian to their practice squad. Is this the potential Wilson replacement? I don't think so, but I don't know. What do you think, B?
I mean, maybe. I mean, Robert Saleh has been very in favor of Zach Wilson, so maybe not. Like, he keeps saying, no, this is Zach's team. We're rolling with him, which makes sense. It makes, like, rational sense. I mean, there's no one else on that roster could play quarterback right now, and we'll talk about it later, but bringing in someone who's, like, brand new at this point in the season won't be the easiest transition because they have to learn the system. That's pretty much it. Just learn like the playbook and get them ready to run and operate that offense. I don't know. It seems it makes sense why they signed Trevor, right? With Rodgers, whatever. They had that open spot there, and Trevor's pretty much a well-seasoned vet at this point. He's been in the NFL for a couple of seasons, bounced around with teams. He started for a few games for the Bears last season when Fields got hurt. So it makes sense, but I just wonder how much noise it will take if Zach Wilson cannot figure it out to make that QB change and maybe start Trevor over a Zach Wilson. So maybe.
Yeah, I still think the answer is outside the building for them, still right now. I know people were frustrated with Robert Saleh publicly backing Zach Wilson. But the reality of the situation is even if you make a trade for somebody, who you sign, it's going to take them a few weeks to get the playbook back down anyway. And publicly sitting here and shitting on Zach Wilson is going to do nothing but destroy his confidence, which you need him. Again, you still need him to play at least a few more games for you. So you can't have a guy go out there that's got just a destroyed confidence trying to play while you have no answer.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's the answer. I still think the answer is outside the building, but I think it's a decent backup option just in case Wilson gets hurt or anything like that. Speaking of potential injuries or injuries at all, Packers offensive tackle David Bakhtiari has been placed on the IR again. I think it was with the knee issue, I believe.
Yeah.
And he'll miss the next 4 games at least. Just again, another kind of unfortunate situation because it's a guy that's had a Hall of Fame career. He's been a top 2 left tackle his whole career. And then just these past 2 seasons, pretty much has not been able to play at all because of injuries to his knee.
Yeah.
So again, hopefully this isn't the end of his career. I know he's like early 30s. I'm not saying he's like a young spring chicken here, but Trent Williams is like 36 and he's still playing at such a high level. So you kind of hope this isn't the end or the downturn of his career, but it doesn't look good at this moment. So hopefully he gets back healthy. Hopefully he's able to play again after these next 4 games.
Yeah, I saw. It's not really a funny tweet because talk about like injuries, but the nature of it was kind of funny. I saw a tweet that said the Packers sold their souls to beat the Bears like week 1 because like ever since then like they had so many like injury problems. But yeah, to your point, I mean like when David Bach is playing, like he's one of the best left tackles out there. I think he hurt his knee like back in 2022. If I'm not wrong about that. So it's been a couple seasons of just not feeling right. Keeps tweaking it again. So to your point, hopefully he is able to kind of get on the right path after this next 4 weeks, right? And comes back halfway through the season and can finish out strong. I'm also curious. I haven't looked at it. What his contract looks like too, because if you're Green Bay, you also. I mean, he's very very talented. So just kind of throwing it out there just to throw it out there. But do you keep him on the roster after this point if he doesn't play? Like he just cannot stay healthy. What's the point even keeping him on the roster? So again, just throwing it out there. I'm not saying he should be off the roster, but I don't know. Yeah,
I think he has a couple years left. I think he signed his contract when Trent Williams did a couple years ago. So I think they're along the same path there. But yeah, I mean, that's a decent point. He's not a cheap player that they have on the roster that isn't contributing a whole lot right now and hasn't been able to lately. So definitely something to think about. I know there's also discussions about, or at least hopes that the Jets would trade for him right before the season. So, we see where that might have gone too.
Yeah.
So good thing, and I've been a good thing they didn't.
Yeah.
Last little piece of news here. Chase Claypool the other day was asked just in the locker room if the Bears staff is using him correctly, and he responded by simply saying no.
Was that video?
I'll let you give your take on it, and then I'll give my quick take on it, and we won't spend too much time on it. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
The video itself is so funny because I think her name was Courtney Cronin. She's a very good beat reporter for like the Bears. I think she works for ESPN. She asked the question. She goes, "No." Like it was so like dramatic. I'm like, bro, just say no. Like, why did you do that long slots? I mean, there's more and more players coming out and kind of disapproving of this coaching staff, which makes sense, right? They had high hopes before the season. They're now 0-3. Probably end up going 0-4 here. They're probably not. Chase Claypool is on a contract year, right? So when the offense is operating poorly, he's also operating poorly, not pulling up the stats, and he knows he needs a pretty big year to maybe get extended from the Bears, or if the Bears don't extend him after the season, maybe another team can come around and offer him like a contract in free agency. So I totally get it. I mean, I don't really fault him, but at the same time, when he's given opportunities, he has not performed well. So it's kind of like he's not, in my opinion, he's not wrong. But then again, like, what are you doing to help yourself in this case too? So, what are your thoughts on it?
Like you said, there's a lot of hopes and expectations, and there's just more people speaking out about this coaching staff, and we'll get into all that, and we'll make a full video about what the difference is like for the Arizona Cardinals and what that coaching staff has done with the bottom roster, and they've kept them in every single freaking game versus the Bears roster, which again, not that the Bears have a great roster, but they have an all right roster. No, I wouldn't say the worst roster in the league.
Good. Yeah, it should be average good on my paper.
And they can't get anyone motivated to play. The coach is smiling. The players are all miserable on the sidelines, blah, blah, blah. But, just to this comment, just to Chase Claypool's specific comment. And, I was thinking about it. I thought about it a lot. And I think he has a great point. I mean, the Bears are misusing him and his talents so much. Like, if you just think about it. Like, he should be in the team store modeling their merch. You have a full-on model in your locker room, and you're not using him. What are you doing?
Right.
No, yeah, it's an absolute, in all seriousness, it's an absolute horseshit comment. I would understand if he's busting his butt every play, he's trying his ass off, he's coming down with tough catches and shit, and goes, you know what? These guys aren't using me right. I get it. That'd be like some frustration. But when you put the effort you put on tape, where people had to come at you publicly on every show about your piss poor effort in blocking, your piss poor effort in your route running, then you come back, you throw a couple decent blocks, but didn't do shit else. Then against Kansas City, you hit a bunch of fucking drop balls because for some god-owned reason, you don't know how to fucking extend your goddamn arms above your 6'5" fucking head. No, you don't get to make that kind of comment. You get to sit there and say, this on me. I don't know what they're doing. I don't need to know what they're doing. I need to be better. I need to be more and what I need to do more within the role that they're asking me. You don't get to just sit here and make that fucking comment. Like that to me is such it's indicative of who he is and the problem that I've had with him since we've kind of really been covering him more with the Bears and stuff. He's a bad attitude guy. He's kind of like he's that guy on every team that thinks he should get the ball every time. He's the superstar. He's the everything. And it's like, no, you're fucking not, dude. Like, you're a role player. Do your fucking role and stop bitching about everything. He's the guy, like, if you remember, like, high school or shit, where every time, like, you guys would get blown out, you go back to the locker room, and he's the dude that's already texting, like, 3 girls and is asking, hey, what party are you going to tonight? It's like, dude, we just got our fucking ass rung up by 50 points. I'm pretty sure there's tire marks on my ass from where they ran us over. And you're talking about, he's that dude. And to me, honestly, if I were a team, if I were a GM, I would never sign him. In fact, after that comment, I may just pull him to, if it were me, and this might be a dramatic response, I may just pull him into the office and just release him. Yeah. Like, that's not a dude you need. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care how fast you are. When you're giving piss poor effort on the field, you're not doing the role that you're currently being asked to do. And then you come out and go, no, they're not using me right. Miff, what the fuck? You're not using yourself right. Right. How are you 6'5" with a 34-inch vert and you can't put your fucking arms above your head? Dude. Like, if I were the coaching staff all next practice, he would stand at practice like this the whole fucking time.
He's to emphasize his entire NFL career too. I remember that's what what's his name? Tone Diggs on the Pat McAfee show was talking about when the Steelers first traded him away. They're like, have fun with his 2-inch vertical, and it just doesn't high point the ball. Like, for some reason, he just refuses to go up for it. I'm like, dude, use your God-given height and go get the ball.
If you jump for a ball and you basket catch it, you've done something wrong. You've done something really, really wrong. You either didn't need to jump for the ball, or you didn't need to put your fucking hands above your goddamn head and high point the ball. Yeah. Like, there's no in between here. So again, to me, the comment is so wildly inappropriate to be making, and then with the attitude behind it and all the other shit. Yeah, and here's the other part. Apparently a Hall of Fame coach and Mike Tomlin doesn't know how to use you either. So maybe the problem isn't the coaching staffs. Maybe the problem is you. Maybe you spent too much time being a fucking model over the offseason and not willing to just fucking high point a goddamn ball. Chase, work with me. Look at me. That's what it is. Right here. This is where you live. You're 6'5". Go watch old Megatron tape. That's how. Remember the play where Megatron caught the ball with 4 Cowboys defenders around him? Yeah. And we're all amazed, like back in like 2012 or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. He high pointed the ball. I mean, if he did this shit that you do, that's a no catch.
Dude. Sorry. There's a reason why they don't throw goal line fakes at him. Like, you think that'd be the obvious thing, right? Because he doesn't fucking jump and high point the ball. Like, they also know that. They're like, so I would be like mad if I was Chase. Like, damn, like, I'm 6'4", 6'5", and don't put me on a goal line fade. I wonder why that is. It must be not. They don't use me right. No, dude, he don't fucking jump.
Right. So again, we're gonna get a little off track with this, but the long and short is, to me personally, fucking wildly inappropriate comment. Wildly inappropriate comment. You're the problem, and you're claiming everyone else is. No, you need to look in the mirror at some point and get your shit corrected. Now, again, if it were someone else, if it were Cole Kmet maybe, or, Daryl Wright, or somewhere else, right? A guy that's been coming in, they've been busting their butt, they've been doing the effort, doing the role that they've been handed, and they're like, well, do you think they're really using it to your full capabilities? And they're like, no, I think I could be doing more to help. Okay, I can appreciate that kind of comment. But to come from you, no. Fuck
That's
that.
why.
No.
And I just want to make this quick last point too, off your previous point, is like a lot of Bears fans were calling for like the double standard of like, why is it okay for Justin Fields to say that and not Chase Claypool? And to your point, that's exactly the reason why. Chase Claypool has a stigma of being a locker room cancer, and he was already on a short leash after week 1. He was only with a healthy scratch because of his piss poor effort. Fields, yes, he's not performing well, but he's known as a leader for that team. It could have been smoke, but the coaching staff came out. Even Ryan Poles and said, no, we didn't take his comments as finger pointing. Like, he is a leader of a team. He's never been that type of guy to finger point. He's always take accountability for his own performance. He's known as a guy who busts his ass. And it's also known that the coaching staff is not using him correctly. Everyone's fucking saying that. Like, that's not so there's many different factors of why the reaction with Fields, and people were so pissed about Fields. Fields probably should have said what he said for sure. But the leash with Claypool shortened the leash with a guy like Fields, who's known to be a hard worker, he's leader of the team, blah blah blah. And Fields has a short leash too, so that tells you what the actual overall public opinion on Claypool is too.
Yeah, like if Fields came out, week 1 or week 2, and was sitting here dancing while getting blown out, he's throwing the ball at people's feet, nowhere near the fucking dude. He's on the sideline yelling at his O-lineman for something that's clearly on him. Okay, then you hear Fields' comments. Absolutely, it's inappropriate, dude. Like, you sitting here, you're not holding up your end of the bargain, and then you're going to call someone else out. But Fields has been playing his butt off. He's been trying. It's not well. He isn't performing well. But it's at least if he makes that comment, you're like, hey, man, the dude's trying. Maybe it is that. But when you're not trying, when it was First Take, it was, oh my God, pretty much every afternoon show had to come on and say, well, we can't say the name, but piss poor effort. That's so fucking bad, dude. That's not even. That's like high school diva throwing a pity party bad effort.
Yes.
And then to come out and be like, no. Again, that's the whole thing I have a problem with it, and why I think it's wildly inappropriate. And to me, I would cut him, or I would just have him go work in the model section of the store. It's clearly what he wants to be. So you can go do that. You can go make TikToks in there as well. We'll give you a 30-minute TikTok break. You can do that and then do your thing.
Yep.
But yeah, we can move on from that. Let's get on to our NFL games of the week. For those that are new with us, don't know us that well, every week we try to pick games that we think will be competitive, close games, or potential upsets, whatever it could be. But we try not to do any powder puff. These are one-sided events. So far, I think last week I don't remember all of our picks, but I think I went 3-2. I was bad on the college ones because Alabama beat Ole Miss, and then Ohio State beat Notre Dame, and then I got the Jets.
No, you were 2-1 last week. You took the Pats money line and then the Chargers money line. To your point,
that was it.
Yep. And then I had another bad game or bad week. I was over 3.
Why you got Notre Dame, right? Are we not counting that one?
Well, wait. Last week was I? I don't know. I guess I didn't write everything down. All I have here is the NFL stuff. I had Jets plus 2.5, which they fucked that up. And then I had the Vikings money line, so they lost that. Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I don't know if we're going to count it, but okay, that's fine. I'll still take the Notre Dame loss. So I think that puts me at 9-2 on the year, and I think that has you at what 5-5, 5-4.
Yeah, I think it's 500 or something like that, or 4.
Yeah, so I think you're about 500.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, that's not bad for our first season of doing this.
It's kind of funny because all the games I picked for my bets work, but then our game of the week, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take this team. They fucking just lose. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, you never invested in it, so
Yeah.
That's right. To be fair, it's not like I'm betting on this either way, so I'm kind of just missing out on a bunch of money. So
yeah, but he's making a fucking coin right now, man.
I know. Yeah, I don't like losing money. That's my thing.
Yeah.
That's why I leave it off to you genius people out there. You guys are very smart. You're very talented. You are the best at picking the games. And I leave it to Pete, who's 500 at picking games. Yeah. And that's why I don't do it, because if I did it, I would throw my computer through a screen or through a window every time I lost money. So
pretty much do the opposite of what I say, guys. Just do the opposite. And you guys are fine.
Anyway, so this week we got another slate of great games. We're not doing this in time to get any college games. We're going to try to work on that, see if we can't get that figured out throughout the week. But it will be another week of NFL games. All three of these should be at least close games. None of them should be landslides, but we'll see how it goes. First one we have up has to be like one of the game of the week, right? Although one of the games of the week. Dolphins versus Bills. A great AFC East matchup, two great teams. Currently right now, Buffalo is favored at 2.5, but they are at home in Oak Park in Buffalo. So usually you get a 3-point advantage automatically off of that. And ESPN has the Dolphins winning at a 50% chance rate. So, B, I will let you go first. Tell me what you're thinking, who you think comes away with this one.
Yeah, this one's tough because it really is like a coin flip almost. I feel weird not taking the Bills at home, but give me the fucking Fins, dude. I'm taking the Fins. Do I want to take the money line or just the points? I'd probably go with the money line. I think Jalen Waddle's coming back this week, right? Or no? I think so.
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about DeMar Hamlin making a return to the NFL, which means Jordan Poyer's out, which could be a big piece for that defense. I don't know, man. I'm gonna ride that wave, I guess. Like it could be just smoke and mirrors with this Dolphins team, but their offense is just like on point for this entire season. They put up more points in 1 week than the Bears will for the entire season. So I mean, like I just gotta ride that like wave, you know, until their offense flops, until the defense stops them. I'm gonna keep you riding. Yeah, give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, I feel like for me this one's a split down the middle. It's so tough, but then you start really thinking about it. Not thinking about it. You start analyzing a little bit better. The Bills last week went to the Jets. Then they beat two fluff teams, and I believe they played the Raiders, and they played who else did they play? Not the Commanders. They played someone else before the Raiders.
They played Chargers. Chargers the first week, I think.
No, Buffalo.
Buffalo. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they played the Jets. They played the Commanders, and then they played
the Raiders.
What was Raiders? Yeah.
So they played against a good defense, a bunch of turnovers, didn't look good, had everyone questioning everything. Then they beat two all right par teams and made them look better. The Dolphins are a great team. They've obviously just dropped 70 on the Broncos' head, and not that the Broncos are a great team, but 70 is no small feat to laugh at. And I think we were discussing with one of our viewers or some fan at some point about how much would Buffalo miss Von Miller? What would their record be for the first 4 games without Von Miller? And I think we kind of discussed it then, going potentially 2-2, dropping 2 of those games. And I think this is the second one they drop. I think this is one where it's the Dolphins offense is still running that high, feeling good after last week. Everyone's getting touches. Everyone's feeling good. You get Jalen Waddle back. The Bills do have Tre'Davious White that can try to match up with Tyreek Hill as much as anyone can try to match up with Tyreek Hill. But then, again, with the way the Dolphins aren't just throwing the ball over the field, they're running it down people's throat. It's just endless speed. If this game was in December, maybe a different story because you're playing in snowy Buffalo. At this point, it's 78 degrees in Buffalo. It's a nice football weather day. I don't think the weather plays any factor into it. Tua's looked unstoppable. Mike McDaniels has looked in his freaking bag. So, yeah, I think give me the Dolphins on this one. Sorry, that was a very long-winded way of saying that.
No, it's good. I like the breakdown and everything you said makes sense. I mean, like I said, my point of view is until a team stops this offense, I'm just gonna keep picking it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like when we discussed the FSU Clemson game week 1, and then Clemson got handled. And people were like, oh, my God, Clemson sucks. And then they had like 2 or 3 powder puff games. And everyone's like, okay, maybe Clemson isn't so bad. And then they lost to LSU. No, was it LSU? No, who did Clemson lose to?
They lost to, was it Duke? I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I'm confused. FSU. Yeah, it was against Duke. I'm sorry. Yeah, so they played Duke. They lost to Duke, who wasn't supposed to be as good of a team. Then they played 2 powder puff games, which made everyone go, okay, maybe it's just a fluke. Clemson's okay again. And then they got handled by FSU. That's what this feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
They lost week 1 to what's supposed to be a good team, which the Jets were before Aaron Rodgers went down. Then they played 2 meh teams, and now they're about to get handled again by a team from Florida. So that's what it kind of feels like to me.
I'm checking in the Syracuse Clemson game right now as we speak too. But yeah, to your point, it does feel like that. I mean, well, Clemson won pretty handily, so it's whatever.
So against Syracuse, I didn't realize
Yeah.
Syracuse was the powerhouse of the North. I'm just kidding.
Well, they were one of my upset picks. I actually bet it, but I was like +7 at home for Syracuse. I'm like, maybe they can cover 31-14.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty handedly. But yeah, to your point, I mean, it does kind of feel that way. And again, the season's still early, so the Bills can still get to like top form at some point of the year. We're not saying like they're going to be trash. And once Von Miller comes back, the defense will be even better.
Oh, yeah.
But the Dolphins are so high right now. I mean, like, you'd be crazy not to pick them. Be like, they're just going on a straight heater right now. Until they cool off, I'm picking them to win almost every single game.
Yeah. A big concern I'd have for this game as well is, do the Bills kind of fall behind a little bit, and Josh Allen has to try to be Superman, which we saw against New York what happened when he tried to just take over the game and do everything himself. It didn't result really well. So, is that going to are we going to see a reemergence of that where he's like, all right, I got to just take this game into my hand to keep up with this Dolphins team, and he's just throwing balls over the field that aren't on point.
Yeah.
So I think we both got the Dolphins picked. That makes me feel a little better about it too. I'm curious to see what our record would be on games that we picked similar. I think we're gotta be almost 100%.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next game, we have the Ravens versus the Browns. Cleveland is favored by 2, but that is again a game in Cleveland. And ESPN actually has a 54% chance that Baltimore wins this game. So I know we kind of talked a little bit. Baltimore's got some injuries, but why don't you give me your pick? Tell me what you think.
This one's tough because Deshaun Watson is still questionable. Like, this all hinges on him. I know, like, the Ravens have like 1,000 people out this week, and they have the bad case of the injury bug right now, right? But if the Browns lose Watson, then I'm definitely picking the Ravens. So I mean, if you were to ask me a couple of days ago if I thought Watson was healthy, I would probably pick the Browns. They always do me wrong whenever I pick them, but that the D-line just looks so good so far. Like Z Smith and Myles Garrett, to your point, we had I think a segment before the season started of how like that really will open up that like D-line. I mean, they've been just getting after like the pass rusher, or the passer. I'm sorry. The Ravens are banged up. So I was like, Browns possibly. If he can't go, if Watson can't go, that heavily skews my opinion on it. I mean, you would have to take the Ravens, right? I mean, Lamar versus what's the rookie name?
DTR.
Yeah,
Dorian Thompson.
Yeah, from UCLA. You would have to take the Ravens, at least in my opinion. But I would go Browns. Can I do like a halfway entry? Can I go Browns if Watson's healthy and can actually play, and then if not, the Ravens?
What's his injury? We know it was a shoulder injury.
It's his thumb and shoulders. I don't know like the actual details. He got smacked last week in the red zone. So his right shoulder is just messed up, and he practiced this week, but wasn't anything heavy. Just a few like light passes, like 10 yards or so. So it sounds like he'll make it go for it, and I get it. It's a divisional game. The Browns aren't. Are they undefeated? Or are they 2-1?
No, I think they're 2-1.
They're 2-1, and I think the Ravens are too, right? Let's see.
Yes.
So this potentially, even though it's week 4, could be a pretty big game. Yeah. So you have the Steelers 2-1, the Ravens 2-1, and the Browns 2-1 in the AFC North right now. So if I'm the Browns, I'm looking at Watson like, dude, I know it's your throwing shoulder. We don't want to compromise the entire season, but like if you can go, you have to go. Like you get 2 mil plus. This is a divisional game. We're both 2-1 here. Like you have to go. So
yeah. So you're taking the Browns, right? Is that what I got from that?
I don't know. It all depends on Watson. Like, I don't want to say the Browns and like it comes out hours later, like, hey, Watson's out. Fuck.
So he did some light. So he did no throwing Wednesday. He did light throwing Thursday. Then he threw some more on Friday, but he was wearing something on his shoulder. The Browns are hopeful he's going to play. They think he's on track to play. And then Deshaun Watson really didn't talk about the injury too much. So I think we can kind of safely assume he's going to play this week.
Okay. If he's playing, Browns, don't do this to me. I'm taking you. Every time I take y'all fucking lose. But I feel like every single season I fall on the track. Like, this is the year with the Browns. Get it right. They don't brown it. Browns are always Browns. They figure out a way. The Ravens are beat up, dude. They had a bad loss last week against the Colts with I'm blanking on the
questionable no call pass interference in overtime.
What was that? What's the backup name? Minshew. He was starting Minshew. Yeah. So I'm like, they're coming off a tough loss. Browns at home. If Watson's healthy, give me Browns.
I'm looking at the ESPN percentage thing. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with my initial thought here. I don't care who's playing quarterback for the Browns. I'm taking the Browns. Okay. The Ravens are down Odell Beckham and Rashad Bateman. So they have Zay Flowers playing, right? And then I don't know who any of the other receivers are at this point. So you got Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. You've already lost your starting running back in J.K. Dobbins for the year. They have a couple injuries.
I think so. Who? Right? I think the left tackle's out, or no?
Maybe. But either way, that Browns defense right now is giving up the fewest yards all year, and it's not close. I think they're top 5 in scoring average too as well. So they seem healthier. I don't know. I don't like the odds of the Ravens right now against that Cleveland defense, especially like I said, if you're down to just Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. That D line's going to feast. I mean, they're too good. They're too strong. They're going to make their plays. The only way I see Baltimore win this game is the Browns have to start DTR. They're able to mix coverages and confuse them, bring Kyle Hamilton off the edge, which I think he had 3 sacks last week, right? Bring Kyle Hamilton off the edge. And they're able to just confuse DTR, and then Lamar Jackson has to take this game over on offense. He has to make the D-line look foolish. It has to be a vintage Lamar MVP season kind of performance where he's just running around, making people miss. That's the only way I see Baltimore winning, which I'm not sure happens. So for that reason, I would take the Browns. So
yeah, I think it's smart. And Ronnie Stanley, which is the tackle, he's doubtful, right? So you're going to have a backup left tackle against a Myles Garrett and a Zadarius
Is he the left tackle or right tackle?
Actually,
I thought he was the right tackle. But either way, you can still line up your guys to have it. You can still have Myles Garrett on, the backup right or left tackle, whoever it is.
Yeah, it's not listed on here, but I think you're right. I think he is right tackle. But yeah, regardless, I mean that D line's up feast. That the entire Browns defense is like top 10 right now. So.
Yeah, I think they're actually top 5. I mean, they have been on a tear.
Yeah,
they've been a tear so far this season. So, like I said, for me, if Baltimore wins, it's because Lamar Jackson had a vintage Lamar Jackson performance, and Deshaun Watson either couldn't throw the ball or DTR came in and they just confused the hell out of him, mixing coverages and bringing Kyle Hamilton off blitzes and just another multi-sack game for him as a safety.
Yep.
So, moving on to our final game, the Toilet Bowl. It's again another close one. So we don't pick any games where it's like a 7-point advantage or something like that.
Yeah.
It's Broncos, it's Bears, it's bad, it's an orange. The Broncos are favored by 3.5 in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And ESPN is giving the Broncos a 53% chance of winning this game. B, I'll let you take your pick. Oh, sorry, real quick before you get to that. Quick disclaimer, I know we normally don't cover our own teams. I'm a 49ers fan. B is a Bears fan. We don't normally pick on those games because we're going to be a little biased. But this one's too good to pass up. It's a toilet bowl. How do you not pick a team in the toilet bowl?
Yeah.
So, all right, B, I'll let you get your pick in.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with Broncos on this one. I mean, when we look at the team, look at the Bear team on paper, right? You got a non-existent pass rush. You have 3 starting secondary members out, right? And Jalen Johnson out for the game. Eddie Jackson's out, and Kyler Jordan's still on the IR. So that's already a bad combo. Like you have no pass rush, and you have inexperienced guys covering the back end. I think Russell Wilson and that Sean Payton offense is probably going to do well. I mean, every team the Bears have played this year have done well. Like it's just good. It's going to happen, right? So anything. Okay, let's say the Bears give up 24 to 30 points, right? Can the Bears offense keep pace with that? No. The Bears offense has also have been ass this entire season. There's no way, unless they come out and it's like a miracle. They just turn stuff on and kind of looks like, if they have that switch like how they did last year, after the first 7 or so weeks, they were really, really bad in offense. And in one game, they just popped off and they had a 4-game, 5-game stretch where they're just killing it. I don't see that happening. So I think the Broncos is the obvious choice here. Even though they just got 50 piece last week, they lost by 50 last week, I still think the Broncos win this.
Yeah. We're getting a little pressed for time, so I'm going to keep my guess a little shorter. I'm just going to go with the Broncos. Very clear, very simple, very to the point. The Broncos coaching staff is way better than the Bears. I think they're going to have them boys ready to play more than the Bears will. It just has not looked good all season. I don't trust that coaching staff at all. And if it were up to me, again, I think they should be fired in the next couple of weeks here after they drop the next 4 games. So, simple, Broncos. Give me the Broncos. I like the coaching staff better. And yeah, so those are our picks for the week. So we both were in agreement in all 3. So we went Dolphins, Browns, Broncos. So if we got you for just this part, thank you for attending the show. Thank you for watching with us. We've always enjoyed it. We always enjoy conversating with you guys. We are going to move on to our segments of the week. We kind of give this little spiel every time, but it's always good. It's always fun for our new viewers. We are still a small podcast, so if it's your first time watching with us, it's great for you to hear it. We do 2 segments of the week every week. They're just topics that we might be interested in or think might be relevant at some point here. Again, they're all within rational takes because that's what we do here. They could be college-based. They could be NFL-based. Could be something we saw on Twitter we wanted to make a full-on discussion about. Could be some crazy idea we just had and thought, maybe this kind of works. Our 2 are going to be about NFL teams. So it's going to be the Jets this week and the Giants. So New York fans, rejoice. We are talking about you guys again. But let's get right into it. We'll try to keep the segments 5 to 10 minutes. We're kind of on time with that. We're at where we're at right now. So start with the first one. Hot topic, hot news of the season so far. Should the Jets make a trade for Kirk Cousins? Aaron Rodgers obviously went down within the first minute and 30 seconds of the season for the Jets. Zach Wilson has not been the answer. He is not the answer. I know, like we said before, Robert Saleh keeps giving him a bunch of praise. I'm going to put a pause on this real quick here. While we're discussing this, give us your guys' thoughts because we love hearing from you guys. I want to know what you guys think because honestly, we aren't draft capital people. We try to do the best we can, but we're not always sure what's right. Why don't you go down to the comment section, give us a like down there because we put a lot of work into these and we love talking with you guys. But in the comments, why don't you tell us what you think the Jets would have to trade in order to get Kirk Cousins? And we'll see if it happens. We'll see who's closest. All right. But yeah, go down there, give us a comment, tell us what you think it's going to cost to get Kirk, and give us a like down there because we're kind of funny sometimes, a little bit.
Sometimes
I like to think so.
When we start drinking, no.
RFL After Dark
sponsor.
All right. No, we're not doing that again. Back on track. Back on track. So far this season, Kirk Cousins is completing about 70% of his throws. He has a 108 quarterback rating. For the people that are kind of worried, the Jets can't afford him. They're paying Aaron Rodgers. They're paying this guy. They're paying that guy. They actually can. They currently have about $8 million in cap space. Cousins' cap hit for the season is only $20.250 million. So if they restructure C.J. Mosley and Quentin Williams, that'll free up about $13 million in space, which gives them 22 for the season, just enough to squeeze Kirk Cousins in there. But B, let's keep it right there real quick. Tell me, do you think this move would make sense for the Jets, and if it's something they should even consider?
I think it makes sense. Will it happen? Probably very low chances, right? I mean, we talked about it earlier on in this show. Let's keep it brief here. Let's keep on time. You would pretty much have to trade for him like Monday, right? We're already week 4 to be the 4th game down, right? So you trade for him now. It would take at least a couple weeks for him to get in tune enough with the playbook and Hackett's system, right, to operate that offense, right? If you wait for like the trade deadline period, like what's even the point? That like the season could be almost over. That's another point too. Like they're already 1-2. The AFC East is loaded right now, right? Besides maybe the Patriots, but the Patriots beat them last week, so it's whatever. They should do it. I think it would help the team a lot, but it has to be like right now, like almost like yesterday, type thing.
Well, I mean, obviously that's going to. I'm sure if they were up to them, they would have already made the trade if they were going to do it. I guess that kind of does lead us into a little bit next part of the little conversation of is why would the Vikings make that move anyway? Well, they should make that move because Kirk Cousins is a free agent after this season, no matter what. It doesn't seem like they have any intention of reselling him. It seems that they're ready and already turning an eye to the future. We discussed that in a previous video by the fact that they've gotten rid of a lot of their aging defensive players. They've gone young there. They're trying to go young on offense. Kirk Cousins is the only, really like one of the oldest players on the team, most expensive. They're clearly in a little bit of a rebuild. So my concern if I were the Vikings front office would be is if we hold on to Kirk Cousins, do we accidentally win a couple extra games that may move our draft spot from maybe 4 or 5 down to 12 or 13? Who are we getting then? So I think from the Vikings perspective, it does make sense to move him sooner rather than later. Because again, if you wait till week 8, week 9, maybe he helps you accidentally pick up a couple extra wins that hurts you. His value is also going to be much higher now than it is towards the trade deadline. The only problem I can see with that right now is the Vikings are 0-3. They haven't won a game. They play Carolina this week. They're probably going to get that win, which again kind of furthers my point of they should have moved him already, so that way they wouldn't have a chance to win this game against Carolina. But they probably will win this game, and they'll be 1-3. It really is just going to depend on what point does the Vikings front office go, okay, it's time to pull the plug on this. We're not making a deep playoff run. We're only hurting our draft positioning for next year at this point. We need to do something. So that's why I think it would make sense for the Vikings to do it and why I think they would do it sooner rather than later. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and shit on the Vikings, but you guys obviously need a quarterback of the future. That answer is not on the roster. It's a deep quarterback class, but if you want to get your pick of quarterbacks, there's already going to be a fight to get up to the top. Why make it more difficult? Might as well just move the guy now, get as much draft capital as you can, and have a pick 4 or 5 where it's going to cost you less now to move from 4 or 5 to 2 or 3 or, heaven forbid, even 1. So that's why I think, again, I think the Vikings should do it. But what do you think about that kind of scenario that we just talked about?
Yeah, I think they should. And then just to put out another opinion out there, like, what if this is not the Jets as a trading partner? What if this is some other team looking for a veteran presence, right? Like maybe Washington or I don't know, some other I would say the Bears, but like they're obviously going for like younger quarterback. They probably wouldn't go for Kirk Cousins, nor would the Vikings trade like an interdivisional team. But like maybe it's just not the Jets, right? Because it all kind of depends on Aaron Rodgers too. Like if Aaron Rodgers was out of the picture, I'll be all for it. Like, yeah, trade for him now. We can keep him next year, maybe sign him for like a 3-year deal. I mean, he is 35 years old, so keep that in the back of your pocket. But you at least get him for like a 2-year extension after this one, right? But with Aaron Rodgers being at the Jets, not sure they would be the correct trade partner right now. But the Vikings should think about moving him. They just have to call around the league and find a QB needy team, maybe.
Well, I think that's kind of part of the problem, is why I think the Jets are – I don't think the Jets are like a trade partner. I think they're the only trade partner for the Vikings right now because like we kind of discussed, Kirk Cousins is a free agent after this year. He's 35. So if you need a quarterback, you're going to trade just to have to try to re-sign him in the offseason. I mean, you're only getting for a half-year rental at best. It doesn't really make a whole lot. It's not like he's some younger spring chicken. I mean, he's on the back nine of his career. So you trade for him and then immediately have to commit a shit ton of money to him after only seeing him in a few game debut. The Jets have the advantage of they can trade for him, let him walk in the offseason, and just roll right back to Aaron Rodgers. You also, if you're the Jets, get the insulation of if Aaron Rodgers goes, hey, we don't, I'm not coming back like I tried. I'm not feeling it. The Achilles isn't good. You then already have Kirk Cousins in the building. You get first talks, first takes, first chance to give him an extension, 2 or 3 year extension. And that roster is in win now mode. Robert Saleh needs wins now. He's in, I think, year 3 of his coaching career there. So he really doesn't have time to fuck around. Joe Douglas doesn't really have time to fuck around. They kind of need a quarterback now. They don't have time to wait, tank this year and draft another guy, because then you still have Aaron Rodgers next year anyway. That's why, to me, this is the only situation where it makes sense to actually trade for Kirk Cousins. Because any other team, you might as well just get a young guy and roll with that.
I'm gonna say something. Not saying I think it's not going to happen, but I'm just throwing it out there for the sake of the conversation. Do you see a world where they make the trade for Kirk Cousins and then just cut ties with Aaron Rodgers going into next season?
I'm not sure they would, but I don't know Aaron Rodgers' dead cap hit right now. If I did, I could give you a little bit better of an opinion about that. But if they trade for Kirk Cousins and he comes in and he balls out, maybe they do, because you're not sure what Aaron Rodgers you're getting back coming off of an Achilles tear at 40. But again, I don't know what his dead cap is, so I don't want to say yes. And then it's like, well, hey, idiot, they have a $35 million dead cap hit. They couldn't do that. So that's the only reason I'm a little hesitant on that. But I think more than likely, the only insulation it would provide you is if Aaron Rodgers retires, because I don't think you owe him the money as far as my current limited understanding of the contracts is. Okay. So, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. And that's why, to me, it just makes the most sense. Like, he's really, the Jets are really the only team in a position to need or could make that trade. Everyone else, you might as well just get a young quarterback. You don't need a 35-year-old guy. They're the only roster that's in win now that desperately needs a quarterback. The other one you could argue is the 49ers, but they seem very happy with Brock Purdy and how the way Brock Purdy's playing. Right. So you really don't have a whole lot of options there. That also kind of hurts what the Vikings can get in comp trade back. I know, again, I've seen a couple of people mention, well, the Jets don't have this, they don't have that. Well, what about the draft capital? They still have their first this year. They don't have their first next year, I believe. At least what we saw this morning, they're projected to have their first this year, their third this year, another third, I think a fourth, a fifth, and I think that's about it. So I think right now it's kind of projecting that the Jets are going to send the second because of the conditional pick that was included for Aaron Rodgers. But we can check on that. We'll get that verified as well. I'm sure you guys, if we're wrong, please tell us in the comment section. Well, it's always good to know. Yeah. So if I were the Jets, I would offer my 3rd round pick this year. I would offer my 2nd round pick next year. And I'd offer Jermaine Johnson or another high-end defensive lineman, because that's a position of strength for the Jets. The Vikings need talented young defenders, so I think it would make sense for them as well. And the reason I keep it that as well is because the Vikings aren't going to re-sign Cousins. You get him for a half-year rental. There really isn't a whole lot of other trade partners. So you get that package. And for the Vikings, it would make sense because you get a young player, you get a 2nd next year, and at best, you would get a 3rd if Cousins walks as a comp pick. So you're getting better than what you would get as a comp pick. Plus, for the Jets, you can trade maybe a little bit extra. You can throw in that extra whatever, because you're getting that 3rd round pick comp pick back now, because he's going to sign the largest contract in free agency wherever he goes, which should get you the highest comp pick anyway. So you kind of get a little bit of a reimbursement on the trade anyway. So I think in that regard, it would kind of make sense for all people. I know Vikings fans are going to jump into our comments or jump into wherever and start yelling at us. We would never do that. That's an under. There's always a negotiation. You're never going to get as much as you think, and you're never going to give as little as you think. So that's kind of a meet in the middle. It's a good package of a 3rd, a 2nd, and a young, talented defensive player. Jets, you then get to recomp a 3rd, which will be like, an early 4th or whatever it is. And Vikings, you then get to tank the rest of the season and get a pick in the 4 or 5 range versus the 10 to 12 range. And now you're having to move a bunch of shit to move up to get up, higher. You then have more ammunition to draft too. So that's the comp. That's the compensation I would offer. What do you think? Is that reasonable? Do you think it's way too little, way too much? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it makes sense. I mean, I have limited knowledge on like comp structure and stuff too, like what's a fair deal, but I think it makes sense. I mean, I was pulling up the Jets draft picks for 2024 and beyond while you were talking, and they seem to do have their like you said, they have first, third, a fourth. It looks like, and a sixth for 2024 so far. And then they have everything in 2025 besides a sixth and a seventh. So like they do have more ammo, but to your point, like I don't see the Jets and Vikings agreeing on like a first round pick for a short term rental.
Not at that age, not at that price, not this late in the season, not for a half year rental. Those are the four biggest knocks against the Vikings in the Kirk Cousins trade at this point. All four mean there's no way in hell you're getting a first form. You're not. If Kirk Cousins had another year on his deal, maybe. But the fact that it's only going to be an 8 to 10 game rental for Kirk Cousins, again, plus at $20 million, plus at 35, plus you're getting him late in the season, there's no way you get a first form. That's why I said a third this year, a second next year, and then a young, promising D lineman makes the most sense to do. And that way it saves your season this year. Vikings, you have much more ammunition to move up in what should be an absolutely stacked draft and a great quarterback draft, and you guys get your pick of quarterbacks this year anyway. Like I said, if you haven't done it yet, go down in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Do you think a third, a second next year, and a young, promising D lineman is enough for Kirk? Is it too much? Is it too little? What would you offer for Kirk Cousins? Give us a like right down there. And you know what? If you feel up to it, if you like what we do here, these are the kind of videos we make, plus our whole podcast, why don't you give us a subscribe as well? But until next time, if we're losing you here, it's been Emmett, it's been B, it's been the RFL show. And we'll see you guys next time, okay? All right. For those guys that are remaining with us for the end of this, I don't know how you're doing it. This has been long for us, so I can only imagine how long it's been for you. I'm tired of hearing myself, but it's okay. Bear with us for 10 more minutes. I promise. I think that last one ran a little long. Bear with us for just a few more minutes. We're going to get to our last segment of the day.
Almost there.
It's a preemptive one. We're maybe a little bit too ahead on the ball in this one, but just bear with us. This one is, should the Giants move on from Daniel Jones? Again, I'll let you sit on that. I'll let you sit on that for just a second. Think about it. Get angry about it. Get pissed off. Call us an idiot. Now go to the comment section and tell us what you think. Should the Giants move on from Daniel Jones? Is it too early? Tell us what you think and give us a like while you're down there. Let's just start this off with the obvious. Yes, it's a little early to make that determination. It's 3 games into the first year after he just got his big contract. But the reason I bring this up, and I thought this would be a good discussion for us to do, is so far it's been off to a rocky start. And now Saquon's missed last game, and he might miss a couple more. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better. So just to throw a little bit of numbers at you guys real fast here. His completion percentage is down so far this year. Last year, I think it was like 68%. It's now at 64, I believe. He's thrown almost as many interceptions this year as he did last year. He's at 4 now. He threw 5 last year. His quarterback rating is the lowest of his career at 70%. His QBR is the second lowest of his career at 46. His sack percentage is the highest of his career at 11%. The long and short of it is it has just looked awful out there. At one point, they were down 0 to 28 against the Cardinals. Thankfully, they were able to come back that game, and Brian Dable apparently took back play calling duties, but it has not looked good. B, what do you think? Is it too early to say this? What are your thoughts on this so far?
Yeah, I think it's too early. But I'm still in the camp that like you can win with a Daniel Jones. Like I don't think they should move on from him. Now like if he has like the worst season ever, maybe. But like I think they knew who he was when they offered him that extension. Like he's a guy who you can win with. Like he's a fringe like top 15 guy right now, right? Or it could be when he's performing well. And they also got to look at what's around him, right? Sure, they have Barkley. He ended right now, whatever. Sure, they signed Waller in the offseason. Okay, that's cool. But his receivers, like he has Darius Slayton, which is okay, I guess. Isaiah Hodgins, Paris Campbell / Sterling Shepard in the slot. I mean, like he's not really doesn't have a whole lot of playmakers around him. right now too. Like compared to the other teams in that division, you would say his supporting cast is pretty like underwhelming, in my own opinion, outside of Barkley. I think just looking forward, it might be again like this conversation might be a little bit too early, but they have to put more playmakers around him, and then just kind of bolster him up that way. Because he's not a guy. I don't think you can. He won't win you ball games, but you can win with him. But that's just my take. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just kind of getting a little tired of that excuse, to be honest. I mean, I know we talk about the receivers and everything like that, and I'm not sitting here going to say, well, he has great weapons around, but he does have Saquon. Saquon's great. He's a top 5 back. I mean, it's just he is what it is. That is what it is. He is hurt right now, and we see what Daniel Jones is without him. You do have Darren Waller, who at one point was considered a top 3 tight end. I don't know where he falls in the rankings now, but he still is a really good tight end. Darius Slayton is good. He's not great. He's not spectacular. He's not a number 1. But he's okay. He gets you 800 yards a season. Paris Campbell is kind of a bounce around guy at this point. Isaiah Hodges is, I think, one of their homegrown kind of guys. I think he's all right. He's not great. He'd be a good wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 for somebody. Just like Slayton's probably a good number 2. But again, my point, I think my problem is still a matter of you're paying him $40 million, right? It's okay to not be the main reason for wins when you're making a rookie deal, but when you're making $40 million, you kind of need to be in the equation of wins. And so far, he's 1-2. Saquon's missed last week, and I think it was the worst they probably looked all season. They've got 7 points again against a vaulted 49ers defense. So let's add the full context here. It's a great defense. And the only reason they got the 7, though, is because of a great punt return that had him starting, I think, at about the 50. I think the biggest thing for me so far is the numbers are all down. If the numbers were about what they were last year, kind of hovering, I could then go, okay, maybe he just needs an extra weapon or 2 to really like maximize and hit the next level and stuff. But at this point, his numbers are all at career worsts. So, context, we're 3 games in. This could look like a really ridiculous thing, week 4, or I'm sorry, 4 or 5 weeks when he gets back to the media. But if he does not bounce back from this, if these numbers hold true the rest of the year, that's not a good sign that he regressed that much. And I think part of it, what you said is, they knew what he was when they signed him. I mean, they're paying him $40 million a year. He didn't get top quarterback dollars when he signed. I mean, he got kind of like middle around the pack, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill kind of money. So, I mean, he at least needs to perform at that level. He's not. So far this season, he has not. Again, that can change, and this can look silly. But they also did build an out into his deal. After the 2025 season, they can release him with only a $22 million cap hit, which is not, dead cap hit, which really isn't a lot of money when you start looking at the grand scheme of the whole salary cap, and that they can feasibly take it on. So if he does not, and that's the only way the situation plays out, improve, get back to what he was last year, where he was a top 15 quarterback. What do the Giants do from here if he does not improve? If it were my opinion about it, if he doesn't improve, I don't think you wait till after the 2025 draft or 2025 season to figure it out. I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. 2024 season. So he has this year, next year, then there's an out. So he could not be the quarterback of the Jets in 2025. If I'm the Giants, I'm not waiting that long to figure out what's going on with this. If he doesn't clean up by the end of the year, and these numbers hold about true, I wouldn't wait till the 2025 draft to find a quarterback either. I would look at the 2024 draft, because that quarterback draft class, looks like it's going to be much better than the 2025, which should potentially have Shedeur Sanders going number 1, and then who's after him. So I would take like a Bo Nix. I'd use a first-round pick on a Bo Nix and have him sit that first year and then take over for Daniel Jones going to 2025. What do you think? If he doesn't improve, what do you think they should do? Should they keep writing it out with him? Should they look in a different direction?
I mean, the best time to draft a quarterback is when you don't really need one yet. So I'm definitely in agreement. Like, they should take a pick, draft a QB this year, or this upcoming draft in 2024 draft. I don't know if I agree with taking a first round guy though. I mean, that'd be pretty heavy. I mean, if they're really banking on again, like I guess it's all in context. If he looks bad, right?
Yeah,
I think they should take one in general, some point throughout the draft, regardless if it's good
absolutely.
or bad, just to prepare yourself.
Exactly.
But if they know by year's end, like, oh, this thing's going south, we need to invest in a future quarterback. We need a first round pick. Yeah, go ahead, take one. Yeah, so I'm definitely in agreement with that. They should take a pick, and then I'm curious to see how he finishes out this season.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he probably gets to that like median. Just a slow start. See what happens. Wait till Barkley comes back, and I'm still in the camp. Like I think they need to get him a true wide receiver one. I know they have Waller and Barkley, but I'm still looking at this receiver list, and like I'm not that impressed with it. But to your point, he needs to play better. He needs to do stuff within his control. He had a couple of errant passes throughout the past 3 games, so there's stuff that he can work on himself. But yeah, I mean, if he looks awful, yeah, go ahead, take a first round pick next year. Take the quarterback first round. Regardless, though, I think they still have to draft someone, and then just be prepared. Like, what if it looks bad next year? You have that out in 2025. Well, at least you have someone who sit for maybe 1 or 2 years, right, and who can step in and play and start in 2025.
Yeah. So kind of further to your point as well about that, I know if he gets back to the medium this year, if I'm the Giants, and I know we had a video about this where we broke down Sam Hartman's tape and we had him as a 3rd, potentially 4th round quarterback. We don't think he's going to test well athletically, but his brain processing power is fantastic. He kind of fits the mold of what the Giants like at quarterback. So, I mean, either way, if he gets back to medium, if I were the Giants, I would draft him in the 3rd or 4th. And then if Daniel Jones looks bad in 2024, you just turn to Sam Hartman and then get rid of Daniel Jones in the offseason. Or Daniel Jones returns to medium, he looks like a good quarterback. Then you just have probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL in Sam Hartman. If he looks atrocious this year, you have to go with an aggressive move. Because if you go with a limbo move, if you go with say you don't get Sam Hartman, you got to get somebody else, right? The odds of that person panning out are slim. And now you're just stuck in quarterback limbo for the next 2 or 3 years. And then you lose Brendyn because you fired him. And I just think it's a messy situation quickly. So I'd take an aggressive swing and take like a Bo Nix at the end of the 1st round and see if you can't develop him. Because then you get to keep the athleticism at quarterback with maybe a little bit better ball accuracy and see where it goes with that. See what Brian Dable can turn that into.
I like that plan. Is there any veteran quarterbacks out there who you would pursue if you were a Giants GM instead of like obviously I still think you need to draft a quarterback, right? But what if they do like a bridge player at QB? Like let's say this cut ties with Daniel Jones completely, right? They're like, oh, we're just done with you.
Oof,
like sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? Like you just get like a bridge player and then let that guy sit for a season.
Yeah, that'd be a big cap hit. If they did do that, who would they even?
Do you know? Do you have like the numbers? What would be the cap hit if they were to cut him before 2025 season?
Let me get it real quick pulled back up here. So,
and again, this is more like an extreme case, guys. Like if you're a Giants fan watching this, we don't think it's going to happen, but we're just trying to pull out all like. Yeah. All
if you're a Giants fan, please remember at the beginning of the video we said it would be preemptive to do this. It's preemptive to pull this conclusion. It's just that so far it hasn't looked good, but it can get turned around. But so far it hasn't, and it's always good to build in contingency plans just in case it doesn't. It's better to protect yourself so you're not like floundering around for 3 or 4 years versus, so you have an idea of what you want to do there. That was a weird way of saying that. I apologize. So if they cut him after this year, like he looks really bad, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So if they cut him after this year, it's an $81 million cap hit. If they cut him after next season, that goes down to 69. I'm sorry. So if they cut him going into the 2020, so post June 1st, if they cut him, it's a $22 million cap hit.
Yeah, so they're not getting rid of him until 2025.
Yeah, so potential out in 2025 with 2 years. So that'd be this year. Well, even that's what we talked about. They'd play out the rest of this year. He'd play out next year with like Bo Nix behind him. And then going into 2025, they release him, and it's only a $22.2 million cap hit. So that's what I'm saying. Either way, you have to play him this year, and you kind of have to play him next year. So if you're going to draft a quarterback, it would be good to take a guy with like a high upside because he, or like a guy that just needs to like sit a year, like learn the playbook kind of stuff. Because then you have to play, you have to kind of have to at 69 million, you have to play Daniel Jones in 2024 as well. And then 2025 would be when it's the rookie, the new guy's time to shine. So
yeah. But Giant fans, again, don't worry. I will not be worrying right now about you. The offense will get back on track. We're not saying it's going to happen, so it's just fine. It's good.
Yeah, again, it's just an idea. And to be honest with you, I'm sure the New York Giants front office is doing the same thing that we're doing. They're looking at it. They're building a contingency plans. They're coming up with a bunch of different strategies just in case, this whole thing goes south. Because maybe it was just contract year. How many times we've seen that contract year for a guy, they ball out, get the new deal, and then they all of a sudden start sucking again. So it's always good to just have those contingency plans thought out.
Which they already have. Like, they already built that into the contract with that.
They have a 2-year out.
So they already are prepared for this scenario.
Yeah, that's why they're paying a lot of the money up front, so in the back end they can get out of it if it's like, hey, this didn't work out. So, but yeah, tell us what you guys think. Is it too early? Would you move on from Daniel Jones? And just for fun, Giants fans, just for fun, comment and tell us who you think the Giants should draft and who they would replace with. But I think that pretty much is good for us for this one. Again, it's always fun talking with you guys. It's always fun talking with you as well, B.
Same, man.
Don't forget to give us a follow, give us a subscribe. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We make a bunch of fun videos all the time. We're constantly commenting on Twitter, so you can go join with us and talk to us there as well. But until next time, it's been Emmett, it's been B, and this is the RFL Show.